Okay, so today we're going to start seated. So just coming into a comfortable cross-legged position. Let's take our right shin in front. If it's hard for you to sit tall, I'm getting a weird echo, so 1 second. Yeah. Okay, I'm back. All right, so coming into a nice comfortable seat, crossing right shin in front of your left shin. If it's hard to sit tall, just make sure maybe grab a blanket or a block, sit up on that. It'll just take a little of the pressure out of your hip flexors. So that's always a good adjustment. And before we get going here, let's just roll our shoulders back a few times. And then roll forward. Good, roll back again. And then just allowing your shoulder blades to release down your back. Take your hands on your thighs. Allow your eyelids to close. Nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. Couple more times like that. Smooth, deep, full inhale. Let the breath go. Let the Mondays go. The week so far go. Couple more times like that. And then starting to find your ujjayi breath. So inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your nose. You're creating that soft rush of air in the back of your throat. And then right away, just notice if the shoulders are starting to creep up around the ears. Just imagine that somebody's pressing down on them. So you're just using gravity to help you release and relax there. As you exhale, breathe down into your sit bones, so feel really anchored and rooted. With each inhale, you're getting a little taller through the sides of your waist. Good. On your next inhale, you can blink your eyes open, stretch your arms up overhead. Just a little wider than shoulders distance apart, palms facing in towards each other. Just feel like somebody's pulling you up by your wrist, so you're getting a little longer. Notice if you start to arch in the lumbar, puff the front ribs out, soften them back. So sitting nice and tall here. Interlace fingers. Just notice what thumb and index finger is on top, and then start to press your palms up towards the ceiling. Activate the upper arm. Feel the inner arm wrap towards the outer arm. It's almost like downward facing dog arms. So muscle is firming towards bone. Take a nice deep inhale here. It's going to be a tiny, tiny twist as you exhale. Wrap left ribs to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale, tiny little twist to the left. Couple more times. Inhale to center. Exhale to the right. Good. Come back to center. Exhale, twist to the left. Good. Inhale, come back to center. And then we're going to exhale, twist to the right here. Go ahead and bring your left palm to the outside of your right thigh. Right fingertips reach behind you. So you're just finding a little leverage to press your shoulder heads back. Keeping the spine nice and long. Trying to fill up on the inhale, even though it can feel a little challenging here. Maybe you're bringing your gaze out over that right shoulder. Good. Stay in the twist as you inhale. Start to side bend to the left. Take that right arm up and over. So a little twist, a little side stretch. Good, and then let's just do a little flow with the side stretch. So as you exhale, release down, unwind, inhale, left arm up and over. Exhaling down. Inhale, right arm up and over. Good, exhale, release. Inhale, that left arm reaches, and then let's stay here. Root into that left sit bone. It might be getting a little light. You might be able to come down a little further. So perhaps to that forearm. And now you're spinning your right ribs up towards the ceiling. Maybe you're gazing up underneath that top arm. Good. As we inhale, we come back to center, extend legs to straight, give them a little shake out. And then left shin crosses in front of your right shin. How does this side feel different? Hands come to your thighs. Allow your eyelids to close. Right away, just dropping into that sound of your Ujjayi breath. Noticing the calming quality that that has. Noticing how the breath, especially the inhale, helps you to find space inside your body. You're also going to notice that your attention wanders from time to time. You get distracted by sounds. You get distracted by thoughts. It's all good. When you notice, though, that your attention has wandered, you just remind yourself to bring your attention back to that sound of your breath, that rhythm of your breath. And then again, from here on your inhale, you can blink your eyes open, stretch your arms up overhead. So a little wider than shoulders distance apart. Really try to widen across the backs of your shoulders. Find a little bit of that feeling that we get in our bridge pose when we're laying down. And then we interlace fingers. So put the opposite thumb and index on top this time. And then again, press those palms up towards the ceiling. Squeeze the upper arms a lot. Feel the muscle firm to bone. Feel all of that length through the sides of your waist. And then just a little gentle twisting again. So as you exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, come to center. Exhale to the right. It's a tiny, tiny movement. Inhale back to center. Exhaling left. On your inhale, come back to center. And then exhale to the right. Good. Inhale to center. Exhale to the left. Hold here. Keep all of this height. And then we just release our hands down. So we find a little leverage to perhaps get in a little deeper. You're really wrapping these right ribs to the left. Just see what's in front of you. So gaze is soft and gentle, not looking around. You might be moving towards bringing your gaze over at that left shoulder. You might not get all the way there. It just depends on what's going on in your neck this morning or afternoon or whenever you're practicing. Okay, so we keep this twist, but as you inhale, we also find a side bend to the right. So those right ribs are really spinning up towards the ceiling, even as we're getting all of this length through the left side of the waist. Perhaps you're looking up underneath that top arm. Good. So let's take a deep inhale here. Full exhale, and then a little side to side lateral stretching. So inhale, right arm up and over. Exhale down. Inhale, left arm up and over. Good. Exhale, release. Couple more. Just moving with the breath. So finding this idea of vinyasa. Good. And then let's hold here as we stretch off to the left this time. So it's really easy to get long on this right side. Can you find a little more length on that left side? Maybe you need to walk that left hand out a little further. Keep anchoring into that right sit bone. Feel that support. Check in with your breath. Good. Inhale, come on up to center and then make your way to your tabletop position. And let's move into some cat-cow, which is going to feel really nice here. So we're all familiar with this. Do just check to make sure that your shoulders are over your wrists, your knees are underneath your hips. As you inhale, you arch in your lumbar. Chest comes forward through the gates of your shoulders, so back bending. As we exhale, we move in the opposite direction. So spine comes into flexion. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round in. And then maybe close your eyes again here and just start to find the rhythm of your breath. Find a pace that feels good in your body today, just starting to warm things up. Good. You're going to inhale, come back to neutral spine. So you're neither arching nor rounding. Let's do a little shoulder stretching here today. So continue to root down into your right palm. You're going to thread this left arm underneath. You're going to land on that left ear, left shoulder. If you're a little tighter, block or blanket, cushion underneath the head and shoulder can feel really good. And then maybe you start to extend your right fingertips up towards the ceiling. Spin the palm to face behind you. Bend the elbow. Grab a piece of shirt. Maybe you can get your right fingertips to the inside of your left thigh. Again, just a little leverage here. Nice little shoulder stretch. That right shoulder. And then, of course, you're feeling this through the left side of the neck. Good. If you're in the wrap, stretch your right fingertips up on an inhale. As we exhale, we come back to our tabletop. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round in. Inhaling, arching. Exhaling, rounding. And then we inhale, come to a neutral spine, and we take that twist, that shoulder stretch to the second side. So root down into your left palm. Thread that right arm behind the wrist. Use a prop, use some support if you need. Right away, check into how this side feels differently. Then we inhale, stretch that left arm up. If you want to go a little further, spin the palm to face behind you, bend the elbow. Grab a piece of shirt, lower right waist. Maybe you can get your fingertips to the inside of that right thigh. A lot of that has to do with how long your arms are, how tight your shoulders are. You're using that leverage to lift that left shoulder head up and back. Good. Inhale, reach your left fingertips up if you're in the wrap. Exhale, unwind, and then again, inhale, arching. Exhaling, rounding in. Good. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round, and then inhale, come back to a neutral spine. Walk your hands forward. Good, and then shift your shoulders over your wrists. So notice how my hips are ahead of my knees here. We want to hold on to that. We're going to come into our modified Chaturanga. So keeping the knees on the ground, start to bend the elbows to halfway, shoulder heads lift, gaze forward. Inhale, press up. Couple more of these. Exhale, lower to halfway. Good, inhale up. Exhale, elbows bend. Let's hover here. Keep gazing forward. Are you breathing? Inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your nose. You might be shaken. That's okay. Lower onto your belly. That's muscles getting strong. Tops of the feet press here. Let's reach our arms by our side. You can just rest on your forehead. Anchoring down into your lower body as you inhale, head and chest extend forward and up. Maybe you lift your arms a little higher. You really feel those shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other here. It's not uncommon sometimes, especially if you're a little newer to yoga, to feel foot cramps when you're doing this pose. So wiggle the toes out if you need to. Strangely, even after years of doing yoga, I'm getting a little foot cramp today in my right foot. It happens. Good. As we exhale, we lower down. Fingertips underneath your shoulder heads this time. Elbows are squeezing in towards the midline. So notice as I do that how my shoulder heads lift, whereas if I wing them out, the shoulder heads start to dip. We want this back bend feeling across our heart and chest. And we're just going to flow with the breath here into our Bhujangasana. As you inhale, Head and chest extend forward and up. Exhale, lower. So I'm not pressing into my arms at all. I'm using the muscles in my back to help me lift. This is such a great strengthener for the core. Couple more. And again, you're inhaling, rolling up. Exhaling, rolling down. And then this time, let's inhale, roll on up, hold here, and maybe you just lift your hands up a little bit. That often is can tell you if you're using your arms more than you need to. From here, we're going to press to our tabletop position, curl our toes under, downward facing dog. So first one of the day, probably maybe of the week. Do whatever you need to do. Fidget around a little bit, just kind of find those movements that feel good to you. And just know that some days it feels better to come to a place of stillness right away. So you can always do that as well. When you do get to that place of stillness, just check to see that your feet are hip distance apart, second and third toe point forward. Arms about shoulders distance apart, crease of the wrist parallel to the top of the mat, unless you're a little tighter in your shoulders, in which case you can turn your hands out a little bit. And then breath is smooth and steady. That inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose. You're just gazing between your feet. We're going to inhale here, shift forward into our full plank this time. So come way forward on your toes. You can lower to your knees again, or exhale, bend the elbows to halfway, pause, lower down. Inhale, low cobra. If you're ready for an up dog, drag hands back a lot, wrists under elbows. Press into the tops of your feet, straighten your arms. Your shins, your knees, your thighs are lifting up off the mat in this pose. If they're not, lower back down to your low cobra. From here, we make our way back to our downward facing dog. And then walk your hands back to meet your feet nice and slow. Inhale, hands on shins or thighs, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold in. This time, press down into your feet, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart, and we start to flow a little bit here. So from your nice Tadasana mountain pose, as you inhale, arms reach. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Exhale, fold. Pressing into your feet, stretching arms out and up. Good. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Two more like that. So this is our Ardha Surya Namaskara, or half sun salute. It's a series of forward folding and back bending, moving with the breath. Just helps to warm things up, loosen things up. And just moving at a pace with your breath that feels good in your body. Beautiful work. When you're done with your second round, you're just pausing in your mountain pose Tadasana, hands together at your heart, maybe closing your eyes, checking in, seeing how you feel. Maybe there's some heat, maybe your breath has sped up, maybe your heart's beating a little faster, just noticing. And then we're going to blink our eyes open here as you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. We're going to step our left foot way back, and we're going to land on that knee. So as you inhale, rise up, low crescent pose. Good, feel your tailbone direct down as your sternum reaches up. Breath is smooth and steady. Let's bring our right fingertips to our left wrist. And then as we exhale here, we side bend in the crescent pose. Definitely a little balance happening. Squeeze the outer hips in a lot. Maybe you're rolling your gaze up underneath that left arm. And then we inhale up. As you exhale, hands plant, curl your left toes under. So firm that thigh up. Keep your gaze forward. Keep your hips low. Step back to your plank pose. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, shift forward on toes, maybe come to knees, lower halfway, hover, or all the way down. Inhale into the back bend of your choice, low cobra or upward dog. As you exhale, downward facing dog. From here, we inhale, lift our left leg up. Exhale, step that foot through. Land on your right knee. Make sure you're not on a tightrope. Rising up into your low crescent pose. And this is a really nice way to stretch out that right hip flexor, kind of warm that big muscle up. And then we take our side bend. So feel the outer hip squeeze in, left fingertips, right wrist. Start to lean off to the left. Even as you're doing that though, you're rolling your left ribs up towards the ceiling, maybe looking up underneath that right arm. Beautiful work. As you inhale, come up to center. As you exhale, hands plant on the mat, curl your right toes under, step that right foot to meet your left foot. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold in. Rooting down into your feet, stretching your arms out and up. Beautiful work. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. So let's take that second side. We're just going to flow it all together this time. Inhale, reaching. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward. Step your right foot back this time. Land on that knee. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, left fingertips, right wrist, side bend to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale, palms flat, curl right toes under, step to your plank pose, take an inhale. As you exhale, lower halfway, hover or all the way down. Inhale into low cobra or upward facing dog. As you exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through, land on your left knee. Inhale, rise up, low crescent. Good, right fingertips, left wrist. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale up to center. And then as you exhale, hands plant, curl left toes under, step that foot to meet the right foot at the top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold in. Pressing into your feet, stretching arms out and up. Beautiful work. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart again. Close your eyes here for a couple of breaths. Just let everything slow down. And then we're going to blink our eyes open. We're going to just move into some full sun salutes, a couple of those. So just building a little more heat. You're at the top of your mat. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. This time, bend your knees, plant your palms, right foot back, then left. Take an inhale. And then exhale, shift forward. Your version of your Chaturanga Vinyasa, moving with your breath. From our downward dog, we take a few breaths here. Make sure that your ears are lining up with your biceps. So you're just gazing between your feet. You're stretching your sit bones up towards the ceiling. You're rooting down vigorously into all 10 knuckles in your hands. And then as you inhale here, a little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes. You're still in your downward dog. Peek where you're going. End of your exhale, step right and left, or you can hop both feet through. You can walk forward, run forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold in. Pressing into your feet, stretching arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Inhaling, reaching. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Then knees, plant palms, left foot back, then right foot on the same exhale. Find your chaturanga. Inhale takes you into your back bend, wherever you're at, shoulder heads pressed back. And then exhale, we find our downward facing dog. From here, let's inhale, lift that right leg. Keep the hips nice and even. Exhale, step that foot through. We're going to find a twist here. So your choice, you can lower that back knee down. You can keep those toes curled under. We're going to root down into our left palm. Hand might come to a block. And then start to open up. If those left toes are curled under, you want that leg really, really strong. So you're not letting it get lazy, but you're really firming your hamstring up towards the ceiling. Maybe you're gazing up at that right thumb. You're feeling your shoulder blades stack on top of each other. Sometimes we start to lean this top arm way back, so don't overdo it. You don't need to. Maybe you're feeling those left ribs really start to spin to the right. Check in with your breath. It's hard to fill up on an inhale here. Good, let's take an inhale. Exhale, unwind. Just be on your fingertips here. Make sure you're not on a tightrope. You might need to walk your right foot off to the right a little bit. Take your arms out wide. Then reach them forward. Inhale, peel your chest up. So full crescent pose, couple of breaths. And here it might be nice to have a bend in that back knee, especially if you're feeling a lot of stretch in this left hip flexor. If you would like to, you can press palms together, gaze up. As we exhale, hands come to the mat. Options here. If you're starting to get cooked, you're simply going to step to downward facing dog. Otherwise, if you're wanting a little more heat, step to plank, lower halfway, hover, or all the way down. Inhale, low cobra, or upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through, and we find our twist. So again, if you want to do the modified version, back knee down, hand can be on a block. Right shoulder is over right wrist. Press to the inner edge of this left foot. As you start to open up, your shoulder blades are stacking on top of each other, so you don't have to overdo it. Make sure that this left knee isn't winging off to the side, it's squeezing into the midline. And then connect with your breath. That inhale through the nose. That exhale through the nose. Just giving everything a little squeeze out here. Twist's really healthy for the spine, for the organs. Good, deep inhale. Exhale, unwind here. Okay, so strong back leg. Make sure you're not on a tight rope. Take your arms out wide. And you're using your core here. You're laying your belly down. Stretch your arms forward. Oh, strong, strong legs. As you inhale, peel yourself up. Full crescent pose. Great hip flexor stretch. Nice little balance pose. From here, maybe bring your gaze up, press palms together. And then again, as we exhale, palms down, options, step to your downward facing dog, step to your plank, take a Chaturanga Vinyasa, whatever that looks like. You can mix and match these. And as we pull back to our downward facing dog, let's take a nice deep inhale here. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, ha. And then a quick little child's pose. So big toes together, knees apart, melt your hips back, stretch your arms forward, and you can just rest on your forehead. Just let everything slow down here. Let's find a little twist, start to walk your arms off to the right. So you're wrapping those left ribs towards your right thigh. And we walk back to center on the inhale, off to the left as you exhale. Wrapping right ribs towards your left thigh. And you can think downward facing dog arms here, so they're really active. They're working. Let's walk back to center. And then from here, let's roll on up. We're going to come onto our backs. We're just going to do a little core work here, just because Thanksgiving is coming up. So let's do some core. So we're not going to overdo it, I promise. You're going to lay on your back. If you know that you tend to be a little tender in your lower back, you're going to just take your hands, they're face down, but you're going to slide them underneath your hip plates just to give yourself a little support. Otherwise, arms are going to be by your side. We're just going to extend our legs up towards the ceiling. So we're making an L shape here. We're just going to alternate one leg at a time, little leg lift. So I want you to go nice and slow. So nice deep inhale. As you exhale, take that full exhale to lower that leg until it almost touches. Inhale, lift. Exhale, left leg. Same thing, just moving with the breath. And imagine that you're standing on your feet. So the feet are flexed. Exhale, right leg lowers. You're just gazing up at the ceiling, maybe eyes are closed. Exhale, left leg lowers. On the inhale, it lifts. If you want a little more here, reach the arms up overhead, palms face towards each other. So working these deep lower ab muscles. Continue like this. If you want to up the ante yet again, do you finish the left side? Maybe you choose to lower both legs at the same time. You're paying attention as you do that. If you start to get really crunchy, uncomfortable feelings in your lower back, sensations that don't feel good, you return to lowering one leg at a time. So if you're alternating, let's finish up on the left side, but you're going to do 2 more complete rounds. So that means if you're lowering both legs at the same time, you're probably going to get another 3, 4, 5 of these in. And maybe you're skipping it all together. You have your knees hugged into your chest. That's totally cool too. We're all going to meet there eventually. Oh, rock a little bit from side to side. So big hip flexor stretch. So before we come up and flow a little more, let's just do a little hip stretch here. So crossing right ankle above your left knee, right hand presses into that right thigh, drawing it forward. So you're creating space, lower right waist. If you want to go a little further here, bend your left knee into your chest, interlace fingers either around your left shin or left thigh. Helpful to keep the right foot flexed. That just engages the muscles around the knee. We never want sensation in the knees. So flexing the foot just helps to protect that joint. Good, deep inhale. Let's exhale, release, uncross right ankle, second side, left knee crosses above right ankle. Few breaths here, you can just gently press that left thigh forward. And mind you, you could just stay here like this. If you're getting a good stretch, you don't need to go any further. More isn't always better. If you are a little more flexible, if this pose is pretty familiar to you and you'd like a little more sensation, bend your right knee into your chest, reach your left hand through that triangle you've made, and you interlace fingers either around your thigh or shin. Again, that's a function of how long the arms are, how flexible the hips are. A lot of things factor in. So the poses look different for all of us. Breathe in, little space into that outer left hip. Good. All right. So we're going to uncross, knees squeeze. We haven't done this in a minute, but we're going to go ahead and start to roll forward and back on our spine. And we're eventually going to roll up to our Utkatasana chair pose. Easier said than done. It might require a little running, a little falling, a second attempt. But when you get there, just take a couple of breaths, arms a little wider than shoulders distance apart. Feet might be together or hips distance apart. Strong pose, fierce pose. Ooh, inhale, press your legs to straight. Hands come together at your heart. So we're going to come back in to that chair pose. We're going to turn it into a twist. So again, hips distance apart can be really nice for most of us. You can stand with your feet a little closer. You just want your second and third toe pointing forward. Heels are usually slightly apart. All right, here we go. As you inhale, knees bend, arms reach up. Good. As you exhale, palms come to heart center. Hips are facing the same direction. We want to hold on to that as much as possible. Deep inhale here. Exhale, hinge forward, twist to the right. Maybe you can hook that left elbow to the outside of that right leg. And then see how I'm actively drawing this left hip back. Palms vigorously pressed towards heart center. As you do that, you get a little more leverage. You start to spin those left ribs up towards the ceiling a little more. Breathing. Weight is in the heels, so the toes should be pretty light here. Maybe you can sink down a little lower. Ooh, hurts so good. Maybe you split your arms for a few breaths here. Maybe you go there and you decide, too much, not for me after all, or not for me today. Good deep inhale. Exhale, we unwind here. Take a nice little forward fold. Let the back of your neck lengthen and release, and then maybe kind of pedal back and forth between your feet here. So kind of bending one knee, straightening the other leg. That can feel kind of nice. And the last, we do have a second side. So as you inhale, knees bend, arms reach up, Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, hands to heart center. Weight is in the heels. Deep inhale, lengthen. Exhale, extend forward, twist. Hook that right elbow. Squeeze palms vigorously. Press them towards heart center. Keep drawing that right hip back. So imagine that you're back against a wall. You're just plugging your sit bones into that wall behind you. Trying to fill up on the inhale. Emptying out on the exhale. That might help you to twist in a little deeper. Oh, Utkatasana, twist, so fun. If you would like for a few breaths to spread your arms, not necessary to do, it's not better. But if you want to go there, you're more than welcome to. Okay, we got one more deep inhale. And we exhale, unwind. So hang forward. Again, maybe kind of just pedal back and forth between your feet. Good. And then bring your hands to your hips, elbows, squeeze in with a nice flat back on your inhale. Press yourself to standing. We're going to come back to the top of our mat. We're going to do some external poses. So if you do have a block handy, just have it at the top of your mat. And we will potentially need that for our triangle pose and our side angle pose. Into Tadasana here. As you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms, right foot back, then left foot. You can take a Chaturanga Vinyasa from your plank. Otherwise, pull back to your downward facing dog. As we start to warm up, as we've done a lot of these, some days we just feel a little tired, so we do less. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through, heel toe it to the left twice. Spin into the back edge of that left foot, and then maybe you want to take that block behind your right ankle. Inhale, windmill up and over. Virabhadrasana 2. So a few breaths here. Big hip opener in this front leg. Right knee is pressing back behind. But this left hip is releasing down. So these back toes are spinning in a good amount. And then notice if your torso is twisting to the right, you want to square it towards the long edge of your mat. But you can bring your gaze out over those right fingertips. All these little micro actions happening. We're going to flip our right palm to face up. Inhale, find your reverse warrior. The legs stay exactly the same, but we find this side bending, lateral stretching. Inhale, press that right leg to straight. Keep pressing to the inner edge of that right foot. On your next exhale, shift your hips off to the left. Reach, 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 reach. Oh, I just got a nice little hip pop here. And this is where your block can be really nice, so adjust it if you need to. So land with your right wrist underneath your right shoulder, and then shoulder blades stacking on top of each other. Can you elongate through this right side and spin those right ribs up? Firm a little more into the back edge of your left foot. In this triangle pose, your gaze can be down, it can be forward. You might be looking up. It all kind of just depends on what happens or how the neck is feeling. What tends to happen here sometimes is we let the neck hang or we hold on too much. You just want the cervical spine, so these, the neck bones to just be an extension of the rest of the spine. All right, so let's take a deep inhale here. As we exhale, we're gonna unwind. You're gonna spin onto those left toes, and then we're gonna take a forward fold here. So wide-legged forward fold. You're gonna feel a deep, deep stretch in this right hamstring. You might even have hands on blocks. Good, start to bend your right knee, palms are flat in your choice. From here, you step to plank, or you step to downward facing dog. From your plank, you go to downward dog, or you take a Chaturanga Vinyasa. What do you need? What would feel best for your body right now? As we pull back to our downward facing dog, we take a nice deep inhale. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, ha. From here, we inhale, lift our left leg, hips stay even. Exhale, step that foot through. Heel toe it to the right twice. Spin into the back edge of your right foot. Your left heel is intersecting your right arch. Press this left knee back. Inhale, up and over, Virabhadrasana 2. Make sure that your stance is long enough. Left knee presses back. The camera's trying to focus here, sorry. Right hip is releasing down. And then you're gazing out over your left fingertips. Breath smooth and steady. So such a strong, beautiful, challenging pose. And it feels counterintuitive, but the more you can firm the muscle to your arms, to the bone in your arms, the easier it feels to keep them lifted like this. All right, we're gonna flip our left palm to face up. And then we're gonna reverse our warrior so the legs stay exactly the same. Press to the inner edge of your left foot. Start to bring that leg to straight, maybe just a little micro bend in that left knee, especially if you're on the hypermobile side. And then as we exhale, hips shift to the right. We reach, we're lengthening. It's that lateral stretch to the left side. And then hand on block is really nice. If you don't have a block at home, hand on thigh or shin, just don't put that hand on the knee. And then we take several breaths here, pressing to the inner edge of that left foot. Same time that you're doing that, you're feeling the inner left thigh wrap towards the outer left thigh. You're firming into the back edge of your right foot. Gaze can be down, forward, up. Maybe your eyes are closed. Wherever you're at, see how big you can get in this pose. See how much space you can take up and enjoy how good that feels. Good, deep inhale. As we exhale, we're gonna unwind. We're gonna spin onto those right toes. And then forward folding any amount. You might need a little bend in that left knee, especially if your hamstring is really tight. That left hip is drawing back as your right hip draws forward. This is intense. Good, and then final opportunity for a Chaturanga Vinyasa if you want. So start to bend that left knee and then find your downward facing dog. Move through your plank in Chaturanga, your back bend, if that feels good to you. And then when we meet back in our downward facing dog, we're all gonna take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. Good, and then from here, we're gonna bend our knees, we're gonna hop through to seated, and then come onto our backs. We're gonna do a little bridge pose here. Just a little more back bending, which will feel nice. So some active back bending. So laying down, arms by your side, feet are going to be about hips distance apart. So sometimes we get the heels in too close, so the knees track over the ankles. You want to give yourself a little more space. And then you're just going to press into the center of the back of your head. So you're just gazing straight up. There's a lot of pressure on the neck and shoulders in this pose, so we don't want to look side to side. Arms by your side here, and then just flowing with the breath a few times. As you inhale, press into your feet. A little tuck of the tailbone forward. You're lifting up, and then as you exhale, lower down. And we're going to continue like that a few times. Inhaling, lifting. Notice if you're rolling to the outer edges of your feet. Try to find your Tadasana feet, so pressing evenly. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower down. Couple more like that. Inhaling up. Exhale, lower. And then let's inhale, lift up, hold here. Either grab the outer edges of your mat, kind of walk your hands towards your heels, snuggle your shoulders underneath you. You also might interlace your fingers underneath you. Do that same little shimmy, shimmy, shake, shake. Press evenly into your feet. As you inhale, your chest is expanding towards your chin. Glutes are engaging a little bit here, maybe a lot. Feeling that stretch on the top of the thigh, the hip flexors. And you're trying to fill up as much as possible. On your inhale, find that expansion of the rib cage. We've got a couple more breaths here. Good. If your hands are interlaced, go ahead. Release, lower down, take a couple of breaths, and we're going to come into one more back bend. With a variation if you want to take it. All right, so arms by your side, feet pressing evenly as you inhale. Lift your hips up. And then again, you can interlace fingers underneath you. You can grab the sides of your mat. So really feel as though your shoulders are becoming feet that are pressing down. They are basically. We've got our feet, and our shoulder feet in this pose. Okay, so you're going to keep rooting down into that left foot. Inhale, bend your right knee into your chest, and then extend that leg to straight. Keep the hips even. So one side might want to drop down. Don't let it. In that left leg, you're going to really feel it working a lot. Exhale, release your right foot. Inhale, even out. Hips press up towards the ceiling. Good. And then root down into your right foot. That's your anchor. Bend your left knee in. And then extend that left leg to straight. So Ekapada, Setubandha Sarvangasana, one-legged bridge. It's a lot of words to say one-legged bridge. Breath smooth and steady. Good. One more deep inhale. Exhale, release your left foot down. Inhale, press evenly. Good work. As we exhale, we release. Ooh. Let's come into happy baby here. So grabbing the outer edges of your feet, or you can grab your thighs if you're a little tighter. And then after that back bending, it might feel good to roll side to side. And before we do another little hip stretch, let's just do a twist here. So taking your right thigh, crossing it over your left thigh. You can place your left foot down on the floor, lift the hips up, scooch them off to the right, arms out in a T shape, and then knees fall off to the left. If this feels too intense, for some of us, this leg variation doesn't feel great. If that's you, you're just going to stack your knees on top of each other. That's another great little twist. You can look out over your right fingertips. Consciously shifting your breath at this stage of the game, letting it stretch out, slow down. Shoulder blades are heavy here. Good, come up to center. And then let knees drop to the left if you're stacking them. Otherwise, cross left thigh over right thigh, press into your right foot, scoot your hips off to the left, And then let your knees fall over. So that's just giving yourself a little room. And then maybe you gaze onto your left cheek. Feel both shoulder blades heavy as much as possible. All right, we inhale to center. Uncross, give knees a squeeze in. Okay, so we're gonna come back up to seated so you can just roll on up. And we're gonna come back into our Sukhasana. So crossing your right shin in front of your left shin. This time we're gonna take it into a forward fold. You might wanna have a block handy, something to rest your head on. If you are a little more open in your hips and it is available to you to stack your shins on top of each other like I'm doing here, you can take that variation. You're gonna flex your right foot a lot if you're doing that. If your knee is up really high, choose to take this variation, maybe even sitting up on something. So here we go. As we inhale, arms reach out and up. As we exhale, we keep all of that length through the sides of our waist, and we start to hinge forward, fold in. If you've got a tighter body, you're going to be pretty upright. As long as you're feeling a stretch, you're doing things correctly. For those of us that are a little more flexible, we might be resting our head on a block. You could make stack fists and just rest your head there. From this forward fold, let's find a little twist. Start to walk your arms off to the right. Wrap left ribs towards right thigh, right knee. We walk back to center. Inhale, roll up, extend legs to straight, and then second side. So recrossing with left shin in front, maybe stacking shins. Press into your sit bones. Inhale, arms reach up. As you exhale, hinge, forward fold in. Send your breath to this outer left hip. Just notice how it's feeling. Little twist here. So walking your arms off to the left any amount. Keep rooting into both sit bones. Feel those right ribs spin towards that left thigh, left knee. Good. Come back to center. Inhale, roll on up. One final little forward fold here. So extend your legs to straight. Inhale, stretch your arms up. Exhale, hinge forward, Paschimottanasana. So the name of the game is keeping the sides of the waist nice and long, so we're not rounding in to fold. So for some of us, again, that means that we don't go very far. You could always use a strap around your feet here. Big, big hamstring stretch. Pretty intense. Couple more breaths. And then you're going to make your way onto your back. So we're going to come into our final resting pose, our Shavasana. So you might want to give the knees one final squeeze. And then assuming that your lower back feels okay, classic Shavasana, legs extended a little wider than hips distance, arms a little wider than shoulders distance. If there's any tenderness in your lower back, you're going to slide a blanket or blocks underneath your knees. So you're just going to bend your knees and allow them to knock in towards each other. Soak up these final moments of your yoga practice. Give yourself permission to completely relax here. Let your next inhale be deeper. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. And then you're going to wiggle fingers, toes, stretch your arms up overhead. It's a little gentle movement. Staying soft and quiet, you're going to roll to one side or the other. Just find the fetal position. And then eventually using your hands to help you press back up to your Sukhasana. So same pose that we started class with, but notice how it feels differently now. Hopefully it feels a little easier to sit here. Hopefully it feels as though you have a little more space. Observe how your breath has shifted. Observe how your headspace has shifted. And soak up all of these good feelings that you've created. Send yourself love and gratitude for showing up and working hard. And then just promise yourself that you're going to carry a little of this feeling with you into the rest of the day ahead. Bring your palms together at your heart and bow your head with a smile. Terrific work today. Thank you. Good to see everybody.